When the wild animals of a zoo begin a wave of transformation into zombies, a veterinarian and her trainees must stop them from escaping to prevent the creatures from contaminating the entire planet. Today we're going to recap the story of the movie, Zombies, from 2016. Eden is a wildlife zoo that brings together the most diverse species of animals found in the wild. The place was opened 50 years ago as a rehabilitation shelter for endangered animals. This sanctuary will soon be open to the public so that everyone can enjoy the different ecosystems and get to know the countless species present there. As well as being a zoo, Eden has also been transformed into a park with attractions for the whole family to enjoy, which will open next week. A few days before the zoo opens its doors, Dr. Gordon receives some primates with rare symptoms in his laboratory. Upon analyzing the animals, the veterinarian begins to suspect that they have been infected with rabies and orders the security guard to lock the doors so that the monkeys can't escape, because if that happens all the other animals will be at risk. During a seizure, one of the primates suffers a cardiac arrest, so Gordon decides to administer medication to try to revive him. At this point, the other monkeys in the cages become agitated and act extremely aggressively, so the vets join in to try to calm them down. Suddenly, the animal, which had suffered a cardiac arrest, gets up and drops a cupboard on Monty. Terrified, Robin tries to open the door to escape, but ends up being attacked and having her eyes removed. A few minutes later, Dr. Ellen takes a group of university students to see the zoo, as they will be working there as interns for the next few months. The woman says that it was her grandfather who built the shelter for the rehabilitation of endangered animals and managed to prevent the extinction of countless species. That day, her daughter, Thea, accompanied her on the expedition, as the babysitter called in sick at short notice. As a single mother, Ellen had no choice but to take her little girl with her to work. To ensure that all the students get the most out of the expedition, Ellen asks them to hand in their cell phones and assures them that she will return them at the end of the day. Upon arriving at the aviary, Ricky asks the driver to stop the bus and gets off the vehicle to meet Chelsea, his new advisor. Just then, Johnny shows up and reveals that he's on his way to Dr. Gordon's lab because he's just sounded an emergency alarm. However, as this happens quite often, the zoo staff are not worried, as they believe that nothing serious has happened. Minutes later, the group arrives at the next stop and Ellen says that Gus should be there waiting for them. Among the students on the excursion is Amber, a young daughter of one of the city's wealthiest families who is on probation for starting a bar fight while drunk. The girl is the granddaughter of one of the zoo's main donors and, because of this, Ellen decided to take her on as an intern. Before continuing the expedition, the veterinarian hands Amber a walkie-talkie and asks the girl to contact her if Gus doesn't show up to pick up the students. However, soon afterwards, Gus arrives at the agreed location and Amber offers to help him feed the boars. Ellen's next stop is the gorilla cage, as her daughter has a close friendship with Kifo, a river-cross gorilla native to the tropical jungles of Nigeria. The animal and Thea are similar in age and practically grew up together, so they can communicate with each other. Just then, Daxton shows up and learns that he will be AJ's mentor, as the man wants to learn more about primates. After saying goodbye to Kifo, Thea accompanies her mother to her workplace because she has to spend the day with Gage, her new intern. After introducing Gage to the zoo's security team, Ellen goes to meet Leslie, the new intern for Rex, the head of security. Just then, the man receives a call and is informed that an incident has occurred in Dr. Gordon's laboratory. Immediately, Rex gets in touch with the rest of the team and discovers that Johnny isn't answering his walkie-talkie and isn't picking up the phone. In an attempt to find out what's going on, Boris tries to call Robin, but the woman doesn't answer either. At this point, the guards begin to suspect that some creature has tried to escape from the laboratory, but Ellen tries to calm them down by telling them that no dangerous animals are on the loose, as Dr. Gordon works exclusively with small primates. That afternoon, Gage accompanies the security team to the laboratory and, when they get there, they find no one. After turning off the alarm, Boris sees a bloody hand touching the glass of the door and tries to open it. However, the vet presses his own body against the door to prevent it from opening, so the men decide to join forces to push it open. Upon entering the laboratory, they find the place full of blood and Gordon orders the security guards to block the doors to prevent the infected animals from escaping. At this point, Rex finds the lifeless bodies of Johnny and Robin and tries to find out what happened. Suddenly, countless monkeys burst out of Gordon's body and several others abandon their hiding places to attack the guards. When he sees Boris being eliminated, Rex runs to try and help him, but ends up getting bitten on the neck. Immediately, Leslie pulls out the monkey and throws it at the wall while Gage drags Rex out of the room. Seeing one of those monsters running towards her, the woman grabs her gun and manages to destroy the creature's head with one shot. She then runs outside and tries to close the door of the room before the monkeys can escape. While Leslie tries to close the door, Gage strikes the animal that was attacking Rex, but in the meantime, 3 other monkeys manage to escape. Concerned for the safety of the other zoo workers, Rex contacts Ellen to inform her of what has happened and says he will capture the primates before they contaminate other animals. Using the trackers, the veterinarian is able to trace the path of the zombies and informs them that they are on their way to areas in Africa and Australia. As Rex has a hand injury, Leslie takes the wheel and follows her boss's coordinates while Ellen sets off the emergency alarm to warn all the employees that a dangerous group of animals is on the loose. To ensure that these animals can't escape from the zoo, the veterinarian decides to activate the containment protocol and locks all the doors. The woman advises the workers to seek shelter in a secure, locked facility until the security team can contain the threat. Upon receiving this warning, Gus leads the trainees to the warehouse and Chelsea asks Ricky to help her lock all the doors of the aviary to prevent any kind of intruder from entering. After feeding Kifo, Daxton also locks himself in his office with AJ, at which point Gus ends up being attacked by the monkeys. Frightened, the trainees try to flee, but they can't find a safe shelter and have to climb a tree to avoid being attacked by a feline that has also been infected. Just when they think they are safe, a couple of zombie giraffes appear and attack the trainees. While Jay is being devoured, Leslie appears and starts shooting at the monsters, but they can't save the man. Soon after, Amber is attacked and about to be bitten when Rex manages to hit the zombie's head and the young woman falls to the ground. While Gage tries to reassure Amber, Rex contacts Ellen and the woman informs him that she has already called the police, but they are waiting for animal control to arrive before entering the zoo. According to the police, it will take at least 3 hours before they can assemble the team needed to contain the contaminated animals. The problem is that in the meantime, if nothing is done, even more specimens will be infected. Even knowing this, Ellen orders Rex to take the survivors to the watchtower and stay there until reinforcements arrive, as she doesn't want to put the lives of any more employees at risk. All the animals living in the zoo have a tracking chip, except the birds. So Leslie's biggest fear is that those monkeys will manage to invade the aviary, because if one of those birds gets infected and manages to escape, it could spread the virus all over the planet. While Rex and Leslie try to figure out their next steps, Gage keeps trying to help Amber stay calm and ends up getting bitten by a giraffe that suddenly appears. Immediately, the security guards start shooting and manage to eliminate the zombie. At this point, the trainee's biggest fear is turning into one of those things, but Leslie reassures him that the virus that is turning animals into the zombie probably doesn't affect humans. While the man is getting help, Amber steals the car and runs away with the aim of getting out of the zoo. At that moment, police helicopters fly over the site looking for any suspicious activity, but they can't find anything out of the ordinary. When she receives a call from the police, Ellen is relieved and informs them that only a few animals have been infected and are dangerous. When Amber fled with the vehicle, she also took all the weapons and equipment that the guards could use to defend themselves against another attack. Even the walkie-talkie that Rex was using to communicate with Ellen was taken, so now they're on their own. Just then, the trio spots a herd of elephants approaching and Leslie quickly prepares to shoot, as she still has 5 bullets in her pistol. However, Gage asks her to put the gun down, as the elephants have no natural predators, which leads him to believe that the infected animals won't try to attack them. At that moment, a team of soldiers working for animal control manages to enter the zoo by helicopter and breaks into the feline's cage to check if there are any infected animals there. Meanwhile, Ellen observes the operation through her computer monitor and hears the screams of the officers, who are attacked while trying to eliminate the tiger that lives there. Frightened, the veterinarian tries to contact Rex, but the walkie-talkie is in the car being driven by Amber. When she gets to the exit of the zoo, the girl realizes that the gate is locked and starts shouting to attract the attention of the security camera, in the hope that someone will open the gate for her. Upon seeing her, the veterinarian contacts her by walkie-talkie and asks where Rex is. Then Amber says that he must have already been eliminated and asks Ellen to open the gates. However, the woman reveals that as soon as the lockdown protocols were activated, she lost control of all the doors. During the conversation, Ellen spots a group of animals approaching, so she tells Amber to get in the car and turn around. However, the young girl refuses to go back to the zoo and starts climbing over the gate. Just then, a zombie lioness appears and grabs the girl's leg. It then drags her away from the gate. After witnessing Amber's attack without being able to do anything to save her, the vet hears the alarm go off, indicating that an animal has invaded the perimeter. Meanwhile, Thea is playing with her teddy bears when she sees a new koala on the shelf and approaches it, believing that the creature is just a toy. Suddenly, the animal opens its eyes and starts growling. Thea screams for help and her mother immediately runs towards her. However, when the woman finally manages to open the door, she finds her daughter covered in blood, having used a baseball bat to eliminate the zombies. Meanwhile, Rex and the surviving trainees are riding the elephants. They believe that this will keep them safe from zombie attacks, since no animal is capable of attacking the herd. However, as they approach the aviary, the elephants begin to act suspiciously and refuse to move forward. Looking around, the trio realize that zombie monkeys are hiding in the trees and the elephants panic when they detect their presence. Rex then falls to the ground and his leg is trampled by one of the elephants. Gage immediately goes to help him, but ends up being attacked by one of the primates. Terrified, Leslie pulls out her gun and starts shooting, but after 5 shots, her ammunition runs out and they are completely defenseless. When the zombies were about to attack them, Daxton appeared and let off a few rockets into the sky to scare the animals. As soon as the monsters leave, the man helps the youngsters take Rex back to his office and AJ helps Leslie take care of the security guard's leg while Daxton puts antibiotic ointment on Gage's arm. Worried about the possibility of the infection spreading outside the zoo, Daxton decides to call Chelsea, but the woman assures him that no zombies have entered the aviary. According to her, the only animal that appeared there was a small rat, which was soon devoured by one of the birds. Even with Chelsea's confirmation that everything is fine, Rex says they need to get to the aviary and Leslie grabs a machete she finds in Daxton's room to defend herself. Looking at the security cameras, Daxton realizes that infected animals are surrounding Kifo's cage and doesn't think twice about going there to protect the gorilla. Even though he knows that all his colleagues are against this decision, the vet rushes to the paddock and finds Kifo lying on the ground. Daxton immediately tries to wake him up, but soon discovers that the animal has been infected and has also turned into a monster. Terrified, the man tries to return to his room, but is followed by the gorilla, which attacks him ferociously. After eliminating Daxton, Kifo sets off in search of new victims, so, seeing the trainees in danger, Rex takes the machete that was in Leslie's possession and attacks the zombie with a blow to the back. At this point, he orders the 3 trainees to flee and the gorilla immediately knocks him down. Finally, the animal destroys Rex's head and manages to eliminate him. Meanwhile, the trio enter Kifo's habitat and hide behind rocks to avoid being found by the animal. However, while climbing the rocks, the youngsters end up attracting the animal's attention and are hunted by it until Gage has the idea of pushing a large rock over the gorilla. In this way, they manage to destroy the primate's skull and escape. While hiding in the woods, they hear the sound of an approaching car and soon realize that Amber is nearby. However, when they find her, the trio realize that the young woman is seriously injured and she ends up dying in Gage's arms while begging for help. When he comes across this scene, the boy is deeply shaken, but Leslie tries to calm him down and says that as soon as the whole mess is sorted out, they will have a funeral for all their friends who have perished. After removing Amber's body from the car, Leslie contacts Ellen and reveals that Rex is gone. Concerned for the safety of the trainees, the veterinarian asks Leslie to take her friends as far away from the zoo as possible. Ellen's plan is to stop by the aviary to pick up Chelsea and Ricky and get the hell out of there, because now her only goal is to get out of the zoo alive. Suddenly, the woman realizes that some lions are approaching the trainees, so she orders Leslie to get into the jeep and drive away immediately. Luckily, when the lions appear, they are attracted by the smell of blood coming from Amber's body and, thanks to this, the trio manages to escape. While AJ is driving at high speed, Leslie realizes that they are being followed by felines and asks for Gage's help to shoot the animals. When the pair finally manage to get rid of the predators, AJ crashes the car and they end up being thrown out of the vehicle. However, everyone manages to survive the accident and Gage says that Ellen's office is nearby. At this point, the vet contacts Chelsea and tries to convince her to release the birds that are trapped in the aviary so that they can escape, as this is the only way to guarantee that they won't be infected. At first, Chelsea doesn't agree with this plan, because all the birds that live there are endangered and won't be able to survive on their own in the wild. However, when she is informed of the seriousness of the situation, the woman decides to follow Ellen's orders and asks for Ricky's help to activate the electronic device that will open the roof. Meanwhile, the 3 youngsters are making their way through the woods and, after almost being run over by a herd of zombies, they continue towards the aviary. At this point, Chelsea realizes that something is wrong with the birds and she is suddenly attacked by a macaw. To get to the building where Ellen is, Gage and his friends have to cross a zip line hanging from steel cables. But halfway through, Leslie's cable breaks in half and she manages to hold onto Gage, but AJ isn't as lucky and suffers a fatal fall. Minutes later, the pair manage to reach Ellen's office unharmed and the woman opens the door for them to enter. Hearing some animals approaching the facility, the group flees to the basement and grabs some flammable gas cylinders to use against the zombies, in case they are attacked along the way. When she arrives at the aviary to pick up Chelsea, Ellen realizes that something is wrong because she can't communicate with her. So Gage and Leslie decide to go out to investigate and order Ellen to set fire to the aviary in case something goes wrong. However, as soon as the interns enter the facility, Ellen realizes that the glass ceiling is being compromised because the birds have banded together to try to break it. She immediately asks her daughter to stay in the car and goes to get a gallon of flammable liquid. While walking through the aviary, Gage and Leslie come across the bodies of Ricky and Chelsea, who were attacked by the birds until they lost their lives. After spreading the fuel around the building, Ellen uses a lighter to set it on fire and destroy the aviary before the infected birds can escape. At that moment, the trainees are under attack and use their weapons to eliminate all the birds that approach. Suddenly, they see a large amount of smoke approaching and manage to get out before they are hit by the fire. When she realizes that the aviary will not be destroyed in time to prevent the birds from escaping, Leslie asks Ellen to pull the truck over as close as possible to the facility and shoots at the flammable gas cylinders to cause a huge explosion. In this way, she manages to stop the birds from escaping and they are all immediately turned into barbecue. While walking towards the gate, the group is surprised by the arrival of Kifo, who managed to survive even after being hit by a rock. Seeing the rabid animal running towards them, the survivors pick up their pace to try and reach the gate, but they can't jump to the other side in time. Frightened, Thea tries to communicate with her old friend, but the animal doesn't respond and is about to eliminate the girl when Ellen manages to finish it off with one shot. Press F for Kifo. Just then, a new police helicopter appears and the survivors are finally rescued from their nightmare. So what did you think of this movie? Leave it in the comments below. And if you liked the video, like and subscribe for more movie recaps. See you next time.